Malcolm, the Boy Who Can Talk to Dogs, Chapter 12. The following day, I turned up at the park early. I wasn't really sure what Freddie had meant by disguise, so I'd rooted through Mum's and my wardrobe, grabbing anything that came to hand. Freddie arrived all dressed in black, her braids tied back and her cap pulled down so far you could barely see her face. I hardly recognised her. She looked me up and down. "Malcolm, where's your disguise?" "In this bag." She took the bag from me and pulled out a brightly coloured scarf. "When I said disguise, I meant camouflage, like they use in the army to blend into the background. They'll see you from space wearing this. What else have you got?" She rummaged through and found a blonde wig, a pair of high-heeled sandals, a lacy shawl, and an eye patch. "This is all fancy dress stuff. You may as well go as Superman." "Don't be silly. Superman doesn't wear high heels. However, in this bag," I reached in my other bag and pulled out my Superman pyjamas. "I have these." "Malcolm, we are going to face a criminal gang, not go for a sleepover." That was a bit harsh. She's the one who's obsessed with films about crime and detectives. "I'm sorry, I don't have any combat gear." "I've got this, though." I pulled out my Swiss Army knife. My dad had bought it for me years ago, and I took it everywhere. It had everything imaginable on it: scissors, screwdrivers, tweezers, bottle opener, and a very small blade. Rather useless, as it was very blunt. Freddie took it off me and held it up. "Great! You dress up as Lady Gaga, and I'll rush in, open a few bottles, and pluck their eyebrows." Okay. Strangely, as an 11-year-old boy, I haven't had much experience in the criminal underworld. Are you going to take the mick out of me all afternoon, or are we going? "Come on, hide that stuff behind a bush. It's not much use." I hid the pyjamas behind the bush, but decided to take the other stuff with me. Curtis had agreed to meet us at the park, but as yet there'd been no sign of him. Perhaps he couldn't sneak away without Uncle George noticing. Looks like Curtis isn't coming. Maybe he can't get away from Uncle George. We can't wait any longer. The gang will get there before us. "Let's go," Freddie urged. We needed to catch the bus from the other side of the park. Freddie ran off, darting amongst the trees. "What are you doing?" "I'm practicing subterfuge." "What?" "I'm hiding. Can you see me?" "No." "I'm really good at it, aren't I?" "Freddie, of course I can't see you behind a tree. And I know that because you shouted. So no, you're not really that good at it." This continued all the way to the bus stop. We must have looked really odd. Freddie acting as if she was in a SWAT team out of some American cop show, and me in my blue cagoule carrying a cheap carrier bag. The gang are going to be really terrified of us. Not. The bus took longer than we anticipated. The bus driver stopped at every stop, whether someone was getting on or off or not. As we got nearer to the address we were looking for, the houses thinned out and the gardens got bigger. "Oh no, this is the posh side of town. I'm really going to stick out here." I tried to hide the cheap carrier bag under my cagoule. I couldn't imagine many people wearing cheap raincoats this side of town. We walked past the houses, squinting at house names that were hard to read over the vast lawns. "This is it," I said, checking the address I'd written in the notes on my phone. In front of us stood a large house. It was rather run down and looked like it could do with a lick of paint. It had a long driveway surrounded by overgrown trees and bushes. "Someone could easily hide here," Freddie whispered. "In fact, there's probably someone hiding here already." "Great, Freddie, thanks for that." She knows that I scare easily. We walked nervously up the drive. Well, I walked nervously. Freddie was still darting from bush to bush. I took a deep breath and headed straight for the front door. Directly in front of me was a large brass knocker. "Go on," Freddie urged. "Knock." I reached forward, lifting it up, waiting for the heavy thud. But no, a bell like an ice cream van echoed from the inside. "What was that?" I said. "Do it again," Freddie laughed. I lifted the knocker again. Again the ice cream van. Then we heard a voice. All right, I'm coming. Patience. I heard you the first time." The door creaked open, and an elderly man peered round. Immediately, he reminded me of my granddad, what I could remember of him. He had bright, sparkling blue eyes and tufts of white hair that stood up in peaks. "What can I do for you two gentlemen?" He smiled. "I'm a girl," protested Freddie. The man leant forward so his nose was almost touching Freddie's. "Ah, so you are. So I shall rephrase my inquiry." He had an old-fashioned way of speaking. "So how can I accommodate you, sir, and—" He paused. "Madam?" He did a weird kind of bow to us as he said it. What's the matter? Cat got your tongue?" Ugh, another one of those stupid sayings. No, a cat does not have my tongue or any other part of my body. I am nowhere near a cat. Freddie put a hand in my pocket, took out the photo and the letter and handed it to the man through the crack in the door. He took them from her. Wait here, I need to fetch my spectacles. He went back inside and shut the door. He was ages. I was starting to panic. Great, he has the photo and the letter, the only clues we have, and he's disappeared. He'll be back. Freddie was trying to sound confident. The door suddenly swung open. Quick, haste now, come in, enter. This man sounded like he'd swallowed a thesaurus. He led us into a huge hallway, rammed full of books, stuffed animals, newspapers and cardboard boxes. Do excuse the mess, clutter, garbage. I'm having a bit of a clear-out. We followed him into a cosy sitting room. Sofas and a couple of armchairs were placed round a roaring log fire. In front of the fire lay one of the biggest dogs I'd ever seen. This is Henry, and how remiss of me, I haven't introduced myself. My name is Alfred Thistlethwaite, Brigadier Alfred Thistlethwaite. You may call me the Brigadier for short. I'm Malcolm, and this is Freddie. I thought you said you were a lady. I am. Freddie's just my nickname. What's a brigadier? I was in the army, my dear. Quite important. Now be seated. Settle. Take a pew. Yep, he'd definitely been a thesaurus in a previous life. And please tell me, how have you come to have these in your possession? We told the brigadier everything we knew, leaving out the talking to dogs bit, although I was desperate to ask him about the note and the series of dots. He listened really carefully, occasionally nodding and exclaiming, "Good grief," when we got to the bit about the burglary. So this medal, he held up the photo, belonged to your grandfather? I nodded. What was his name? William Matthews. The brigadier's face lit up. Billy Matthews, Bouncing Billy. I knew him well. How is the old chap? I'm sorry, but he passed away when I was 5. Oh. He looked genuinely upset. I'm so sorry to hear that. Wonderful man. We worked together quite a while ago. Lots of top secret stuff, but lost touch not long after. What did you work on? Freddie asked. Oh, my dear, very secret stuff. I can't really tell you. However, that's why we got these medals. They're only given to people who worked in this special task force. As far as I know, it was only your grandfather and myself that received one. He leant forward and whispered, We were given it by the Queen. The Queen? Yes, indeed. It was all very exciting. She said that without our help, we could have been involved in another dreadful war. I wouldn't go as far as that, but I think we did have a little part to play in it. This was getting so frustrating. Whatever it was Grandad and the Brigadier did must be the main reason the gang wanted the medals. But how did they know about it if it was top secret? The thing is, Brigadier, we believe that the gang that stole my Grandad's medal are coming to steal yours. That's why we came here today, to warn you. And how do you know that? I looked at Freddie. Well, it's... I didn't get a chance to finish my sentence. There was a sudden bang. Henry shot out of his place by the fire and went straight to his master's side. It's all right, Henry, calm down. It's one of the shutters slamming in the wind. He said this without moving his lips. I stared at him. You can talk to... He didn't let me finish. Ah, yes, you are indeed William's grandson. You have the talent too. Wow, I'm not the only person that can talk to dogs. The Brigadier can, and Grandad could too. My Grandad could also talk to dogs. I never knew. No one ever told me. Well, they didn't know either, my dear boy. It was all very classified, top secret, hush, hush. He put his fingers to his lips. That's part of the reason we got the medals. We used this skill in our work. Billy used the medals to hide another secret, though. He wouldn't tell me what, as he said it was too dangerous, just to keep the medals safe. Ah, I knew about the note now. Is that why you wrote the note in a form that only dogs can read? Yes, if anyone came looking for the medal, the only way I would know that it was for the right reasons was if they knew it could be translated by a dog. I had hoped that one day your grandfather might get in touch, but sadly, alas, not to be. However, I am delighted to make your acquaintance. Now, let me ask you, is this how you know about these vagabonds? Have our furry friends been telling you about them? Yes, but how do the gang know about the medals and find out your address? That is the conundrum, puzzle, problem, the thesaurus was back, that we have to solve. Chapter 13. Just as he said that, we heard another loud bang. Freddie sprang out of her chair. I don't think that was the wind. I think you may be right, dear girl. The brigadier got up out of his chair. Come on, you two had better hide. It's me they're after. Well, me and my medal. But they won't find that. He tapped his nose. I've got that well hidden. Why did he tap his nose? Surely he hadn't hidden it up there. We can't let you face them alone. I won't be alone. He patted Henry's head. I have Henry. Henry looked up at him adoringly. There's no way they're getting the brigadier. Standing up, the dog was huge. He looked like a small horse. We haven't got time to discuss this. Quick, into my hidey-hole. Hidey-hole? Well, it's more of a den, really. He went up to the bookcase and removed 2 books, which hid a lever. He pulled the lever, and the whole bookcase swung open like a door. Wow, amazing! Behind the bookcase was a small room with every computer gadget imaginable. It was like Aladdin's cave if he'd been a gamer. I do like my gadgets, especially my computer games. I've got a new console. Feel free to have a go. The brigadier was full of surprises. In ordinary circumstances, I would have taken him up on his offer, but I could hardly see me and Freddie trying to get to the next level on Grand Theft Auto while he was in such danger. Shutting the door, he said, Don't you worry about me. I survived much worse than this. These are amateurs. Buffoons, nincompoops. After the brigadier left, Freddie and I sat staring at each other. Minutes ticked by. Finally, Freddie broke the silence. We can't just sit here and do nothing, she said. I suppose we should go and help, see if the brigadier is okay. This was more of a question than a statement, but I knew how Freddie would take it. Come on then, let's have a look. I was reluctant, but knew she was right. We'd come here to help the brigadier, not sit in his gaming room, no matter how tempting it was. We found the lever on the other side of the bookcase and pulled it gently. The bookcase creaked open, and we peered out nervously. Not a sound. Silence. Maybe they're upstairs. Let's have a look. I let Freddie lead the way. Not very chivalrous, I know, but equal opportunities and all that, and she is far braver. We made our way into the hall. There was no sign of the brigadier, although it did look like there had been a struggle. All the papers and books were strewn over the floor. I gulped. Freddie, do you think we should call someone? I took out my phone. Damn, no signal. Me neither. What about the house phone? After a quick search, we found it under some discarded papers. The wires had been cut. Whoever had come had made sure that we couldn't call for help. The medals must be really important for them to go to all this trouble. Where was the brigadier? And Henry? This was getting scary. We slowly made our way upstairs. Every step creaked loudly. We may as well have stood on the stairs and shouted, We're coming! At the top of the stairs, the landing went in 2 directions. You go that way, I'll go this, Freddie suggested. No way, we should stick together. I may not be brave, but I wasn't stupid. Freddie may be able to take on a gang single-handedly, but I couldn't fight my way out of a paper bag. Another one of those silly sayings. However, this one was true. I couldn't. I pushed her forward. Come on, I'm right behind you. She squeezed my shoulder. Okay. I think she was frightened too, which was very un-Freddie-like. We crept slowly along the landing to the first bedroom. The door was open. It looked like a study. It was empty. But again, the gang had already been there. The whole room had been turned over. On to the next room. This looked like it was the brigadier's bedroom. In the centre stood a huge 4-poster bed. I'd only ever seen one of those in films or at stately homes. Still no sign. Then I heard a low groan. What was that? I didn't hear anything. Another groan. That! It was coming from the other side of the bed. Oh no. Freddie pointed. I followed the direction of her finger. At the bottom of the bed, I could see a leg. A dog's leg. We rushed over. It was Henry, completely sparked out on the floor. Henry, are you okay? Freddie sat down by the huge beast and lifted his head carefully into her lap. He groaned again. Ask him what happened. I said, Henry, are you okay? He stirred a little and slowly opened his eyes. He looked confused. There were loads of them. They jumped on me. I didn't stand a chance. I think one of them must have hit me on the head. Where's the brigadier? We don't know. They must have taken him. I could see this register in Henry's eyes. He frantically looked around. This was as close as I'd ever seen a dog to tears. In fact, he was in tears. He was distraught. He tried to get up. Careful, Freddie said, wiping the tears from his eyes. He licked her hand gratefully. We will find him. They can't have taken him far. Henry staggered to his feet. Once he was on his feet, he was off, straight out the bedroom, across the landing and down the stairs. We struggled to keep up. "Come on, quick, open the door. We can't let them get away." As soon as the door was open, he darted out and down the driveway. We were just in time to see the tall lights of a large van turning left. Henry chased the van, but it was no use. They were getting away.